he comes with a whole bunch of things in his box before you. What is going on, everyone? This is Tom doing another toy ramble, and this time I'm going to be taking a look at the Auldey Transformers Alpha Action Elite Series Shattered Glass Megatron. I've been looking forward to this for a while because I really, really love the way that Aldi has been handling the Transformers series. So let's take a quickie look at the front of the box, which looks great, and you get just an image of the actual figure itself. There he is on the sides. Here he is on the front, looking all actiony. More action poses with the actual figure. And I really like this version of Shattered Glass Megatron. This is more based on the Siege Megatron mold that Hasbro came out with many years ago that some people might be tired of, but I kind of like it. I think that it's fine. So let's not waste any more time and get him out of this box. I have to admit, I kind of like this change of going from having figures tied into a box with 1,000 twist ties to just using plastic trays. I'm on board for this. I don't mind this one bit. And we've got Megatron free of his box, free of the plastic tray. And before we get too much into the review, there's just a few more items that have to be added to him. You get the bare bones right out of the box, but there's still a few little minor things. Not going to tip this too far because I don't want all the pieces to make an escape. So, based on the design of the figure, we'll get into the accessories a little bit early. So, he comes with his treads for his backpack. He comes with his sled shield and a couple of wing bits with his shattered glass Megatron flies, and of course his super sword. What's left is a whole bunch of hands. So let's put this to the side for the time being. Getting you fully assembled Megatron. This version of Shattered Glass Megatron is based on the Hasbro version of Shattered Glass Megatron. Of course, the idea originated with BotCon years ago, but the Shattered Glass concept, Hasbro kept it going, but they also wound up creating this version of Megatron, or this version of Shattered Glass Megatron, based on the Siege mold. Like I said before, some people are not big fans. It was good when it first came out, and I don't know, honestly, I like the Siege mold. I'm perfectly fine with them using it, getting as much mileage out of it as they can. I felt like it didn't really have a lot of flaws, and I feel like that's why they keep going back to it. I understand that it's a little bit dated, but it is. I believe that it being kind of their mold from the ground up is part of the reason why they keep using it. So instead of coming up with a new version of Energon Galvatron, they decided to keep using the Siege mold for Megatron in a few different creative ways. Now, I'm not going to lie. I honestly kind of wish that they would redo Energon Megatron because I love that mold. I love that version of the character. The original toy for that is phenomenal. And unfortunately, just got a little tiny itty bitty baby redo in Legacy, but I don't mind the Siege mold either. So, doing a version of Megatron based on the Siege mold with some retooling and some updating and getting him in the shattered glass colors with kind of an alternate transformation, I was fine with it. I didn't mind that. So as always, Aldi knocking it out of the park with the detailing and the sculpting and the color work. Just so good. The, this was a special edition. That's why the box for this actually says AA Elite S because it's a specialized group. There was a few different Transformers that came out under that title. I believe it was Shattered Glass, Starscream, I believe there was an Optimus Prime that came out under that, as well as this version of Megatron. And I think it's just them being specialty figures that you're not going to get in the usual um, selection with the box sets. So right away, just so I man, I I'm sorry, I'm such a fanboy for Auldey Transformers, and I know that there are multiple companies right now that are making Transformers that do not transform and focus more on the action figure aspect of them, and I'm on board for that because unfortunately the RED series was a gigantic flop, and I was really hoping for more from it, and it just seemed like I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Who knows? But the wrong people were making the wrong decisions for that line, and it was awful. This was much more what I was hoping that the RED line would be. They didn't have to be that big. Of course, I love large action figures, but this series is this figure is about a little over 5 inches, which is perfectly fine. Like I'm on board for that scale, especially because the rest of the Alpha Action Elite series is about this scale. So them being, and they're pretty good about keeping the proportions correct, and they scale well with each other. So this version of Megatron, if you put him next to probably Shattered Glass Starscream or really any of the other Transformers, he is the appropriate size, which I love. But let's get a little bit more into the detailing on him. Shattered Glass Megatron looks great. The face detail, the face work is really good. You get those sharp cheekbones because that's common for Megatron. You get of course, the Shattered Glass red Decepticon logo there, and he has all of the bits and bobs for Shattered Glass Megatron that makes him who he is. The color layout works really well. This is a really good translation of that Hasbro Shattered Glass version of Megatron. This is maybe one of the best versions of the Siege mold without some of the limitations of that figure. You can mess around with the proportions a little bit, like the leg proportions is different. The overall shape of the body is a little bit different. You don't have to worry about the tank treads needing to interact with anything else. So this works really well and it looks really good. I'm a big fan and I hope that they keep making these because they turn out so good. So let's get into his accessories, which you've seen most of the accessories already. He's gotten they come in the box. You have the treads, you have the wings, the sky sled shield here, and then you've got the gigantic sword, which he holds with not too much of an issue. I am, as with everything plastic, when you have kind of a more of a rod like this, I'm always worried about potential breakage, but as long as you're not too reckless with it, it should be fine. And just be careful getting it out of the hand. One of the few things that I kind of wish that you could do would be able to store the sword somewhere on here. Like I wish that there was maybe a little scabbard back here or just a plug or something where you could put this when Megatron doesn't have to use it. He also comes with a whole bunch of hands, so you can have him pointing at you, and he's got a couple of other grippy hands and just a full-on closed fist hand. Plus a couple of jazz hands, because you never know. It's actually kind of funny. Inside the box, you get even more hands. I don't know why you need even more hands, but hey, sometimes you might want some more hands. But he also comes with a number of different face plates, which is very cool. So you can have much more of a stoic look, him being really upset, and then him being upset for different reasons. So I like that you have the option. If you don't want to just have him, you don't want him just being stoic. He's a stoic leader. You can have him show a little bit more emotion. So it is nice to have that option available to you. He also comes with a card that has some pretty nice art showing off some of the other figures. Because Shattered Glass Soundwave is also available, who I have reviewed on the Two Guys Talking Toys channel. I will link to it with Shattered Glass Laserbeak and just some basic artwork. Plus some instructions, because you need to know. You need to know what to do with your Shattered Glass Megatron. Now let's get into your articulation because there is a lot going on here. So right away, the head articulation, and this is with most of the Aldi Transformers. No, I take that back. This is new. The initial back and forth, I thought that they had set up the head and the neck because on some of the Aldi Transformers, the head and the top part of the neck are just one piece. So you'll get full rotation. It's on a ball socket joint. You'll get full motion and it's just rocking back and forth, which is fine. But it looks like for Megatron, we have a new innovation here. They have taken the headpiece, made it separate, and now it connects to the neck separately. So now he can look way up. That is awesome. He cannot look way down, but that's fine. But if you want to have him flying, it makes sense. He can do that. That is great. See that, and this is part of the reason why I love seeing this line come out with new figures because as the line goes along, as Aldi makes more of these figures, it looks like they are purposely going in and just kind of tweaking the mold and seeing what they can improve, altering some stuff. Like the Starscream from Wave One is a little bit loose and he gets a little bit knock-kneed. Same thing with the Soundwave, who's not quite as bad, but in later waves they clearly tightened up the tolerance on those and improved that mold. So I'm very impressed that Aldi continues to innovate and keep the line looking fresh. So he has much more articulation in the head and neck than I originally thought he did, which is a plus. We have butterfly joints in the shoulder area, also full rotation. Is this a double butterfly? What in the world? See, this is what I mean. This is awesome. So okay, so you have butterfly joint in the shoulder, and then another butterfly in the outer shoulder, plus the swivel to give it full rotation. Be careful running it into the back because of the wings. You're gonna hit the wings with your arm, so there's not full 180, but you can always pop that out if you need him to do that. The wings themselves have a little hinge here, so you can plug that in. Be careful plugging it in. It is clear plastic, and I'm always, as much as I love clear plastic, I am also very wary of it because I am always scared of it snapping. And this, because of this bend, that solves the potential clearance problem. There is technically motion on the shield here, but you can also pop this off of that connector bit here and set it aside if it starts getting in the way. So you have rotation at the shoulder. You have a twist at the bicep, a hinge at the elbow. That gives you no, not too bad. A little more than 90. And a simple twist for the wrist. There is no back and forth or up and down, but you do get a single twist. Now there is I don't know if this technically counts as an ab crunch. I mean, why not? It is a full-on separate piece. So the torso is a separate piece from the midsection here. So it does everything that an ab crunch can do. So you get that full range of motion there. In addition to that, there is a twist at the waist. Now the midsection here is a little bit sunken in to the waist, so it you can get it to twist, but once you sink it down, you can push it a little bit. So this piece actually does kind of sit inside the waist area here. This wing does not feel like staying in there. There we go. Getting to the hips, they do have drop down hips. The tension on these is pretty good. It's not tight enough where you'd be afraid of there being breakage, which I think is a legit concern for figures that have plastic parts that are they're a little bit thin. They don't feel frail, so that is a definite plus. But the material is solid. So when I'm pulling these joints down and kind of messing around with them, it doesn't feel like there's any possibility of it snapping. So that is a big plus. So we have a big hinge at the knee, so you can get that all the way up there. No cuts in the leg or anything like that, but we do have this really cool drop down for the ankle. So the foot sits nice and snug in here. And there is a rocker joint on the foot as well. So you have a little bit of a ball socket set up in here, but there's also a drop down joint that is housed right around here that allows you to bring the foot out in case you wanted to do, yeah, more of an exaggerated motion with Megatron. And the front of the toe has a little bit of movement to it. Honestly, I don't think it needs this. I think that the drop down as well as the rocker kind of does everything that I would need it to do. But this does not get in the way. This does not cause the issues that like late Toy Biz Marvel Legends was having. I love that Megatron also retains his trusty fusion cannon. I'm not quite sure why it's painted this blue, but this is a really nice reflective, like that kind of that gunmetal blue he's got going on there. Very nice. The only thing that I think that this could be improved by would be some effect parts. I would love for there to be some sort of like an explosive discharge effects part for the cannon, or some sort of jetpack blast effects. I think that would be really cool. But that does not take away from how awesome this figure looks. All the detailing looks really great. The ability to pose him however you want is fantastic. Can you stand on one? He can stand on one foot. No problemo. But this figure does everything that I want it to do, and I really hope they keep going with this because it's such a great line. And since we were just talking about Siege Megatron, I feel it's only fair to bring Siege Megatron into the picture and have the two of them hang out. And it remains really cool to me to see the size of the transformable Transformers and the size of the Auldey Transformers. And even though this is definitely, a larger figure, and it overall has to do more. It has to be an action figure. It has to be a good looking robot. It has to turn into a tank that doesn't look ridiculous, and it accomplishes all those things. But you still have to worry. There are things that you still have to sacrifice in order to get it to look like this. Like you still have to have the tank treads hanging off at the back, whereas the Holy Transformer, it does it purely for the aesthetics, and you can take that off if you really don't want it there, and you're still left with a really good, really sleek looking action figure. Now, if anything, I think to me, this is a big credit to Hasbro and their designers that they've been able to, over the years, create figures that look like this Megatron, where there's not a whole lot of tank hanging off of him, honestly. This is, to me, one of the better figures, and that's, I think it's just a personal bias of mine. I don't dislike this figure. Like, if they release this again tomorrow, fine. I actually really like this. Now, granted, the Studio Series Megatron is also very, very, very good, but I don't have the hate for this figure that a lot of other people seem to have. As the cast of Shattered Glass continues to increase, I hope that we get everyone else. I know that Starscream has also been made, which I will be reviewing soon, but it is very cool to see Megatron hanging out with Shattered Glass, Soundwave, and know that there are more coming and more on the way. These actually look really good together. And like I said before, they scale well against one another because Soundwave is slightly smaller than Shattered Glass Megatron, and that is correct. That is the correct scaling for them. And one of the few things that I think we haven't seen in the fiction, I don't think that we have seen regular universe Optimus Prime encounter Shattered Glass Megatron, unless that happened in the comics and I am not aware of it. So at the end of the day, I would highly recommend getting your hands on the Aldi Transformers Shattered Glass Megatron. It is a really, really good figure. If you're looking for action figures, and again, I've said this before, this is a great next step in the world of Action Masters. If you're looking for really well done, really well detailed Transformers that don't have to worry about sacrificing the overall form in favor of the transformation. If you're just looking for the robot form with really good action features, with really good articulation, this is for you. Again, like I said, the RED line failed for a number of reasons. Who knows what was going on behind the scenes? This is where I wish they had gone, and this is what I wish had happened instead of what we got. But we got it now. So the Aldi Transformers line is available. You can find it on AliExpress. I know there are a few other online retailers that you can get these from. I highly recommend getting your hands on these. Again, the detailing is fantastic. The articulation is great. And it's really cool to see Aldi updating the things that they are doing with these figures as they go along. There are small little things. Like I didn't know that they had improved the neck joint until just now, going over this figure. And it's nice to see these continual improvements happen. They have been tweaking the old molds, but they reuse them to make them a little bit better, and they have been taking the information from the old molds, applying it to newer molds, and making things even better. So I highly recommend if you can get your hands on Auldey Transformers to do so. You will not regret it. They are fantastic, and I hope that you enjoy yours as much as I have been enjoying mine. So, do you plan to get any of the Aldi Transformers? Do you have them? Do you not have them? Do you want them? Do you not want them? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have enjoyed this review. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, tell your buddies to help me combat the evil YouTube algorithm. And until next time, take care, everybody.